The snow came down in sheets so thick that Owen Webster could barely see his own horse's ears, and he knew if he did not find shelter soon, both he and his mare would freeze solid before morning came. It was December of 1873, and the Wyoming Territory was showing him no mercy as he rode toward Medicine Bow, still miles away according to his last estimate. The wind howled through the mountains with a fury that seemed almost personal, cutting through his thick wool coat like it was nothing more than cotton. His hands ached inside his leather gloves, and his face felt like it had been scraped raw by invisible blades. He had been driving cattle north for a rancher named Mackenzie when a sudden storm separated him from the rest of the outfit. Now he was alone, following what he hoped was still the trail, praying he would not ride off some cliff he could not see. The mare beneath him whinnied nervously, her breath coming out in great clouds of steam that were immediately torn away by the wind. That was when he heard it. A sound so faint he almost missed it beneath the roar of the storm. A cry, human, weak. Owen pulled his mare to a halt, straining to hear it again. There, off to his left, somewhere in the white curtain of snow. He turned the horse and urged her forward, moving slowly, carefully. The crying grew louder, and then he saw something dark against the snow, a shape, a person. He was off his horse before he fully registered what he was doing, his boots sinking deep into the snow. The shape resolved itself into a woman, hunched over something, her body curved protectively. She wore a thin dress that was completely inadequate for this weather, and her shawl was more holes than fabric. Her dark hair was plastered to her head with snow and ice. "Madam," Owen said, kneeling beside her. "Madam, can you hear me?" Her eyes opened barely. They were hazel, he noticed, even in the dim light. Her lips were blue, her whole body shaking violently, and in her arms, wrapped in what looked like a man's jacket, was a baby. The infant was crying, that thin wail he had heard, but at least it was alive. "Please," the woman whispered. "My baby. Save my baby." "I am going to save both of you," Owen said firmly. "Can you stand?" She shook her head weakly. Without another word, Owen scooped her up in his arms, baby and all. She weighed almost nothing, and he realized with a jolt of fear that she might already be too far gone. He had to move fast. There was an old line shack he had passed maybe a quarter-mile back. He had almost taken shelter there himself, but had pushed on, wanting to make Medicine Bow. Now he thanked God he knew where it was. He managed to get the woman draped over his saddle, climbed up behind her, and turned his mare around, trusting the animal to retrace her steps. The minutes stretched out like hours. The woman in his arms had stopped shivering, which was a bad sign. The baby still cried, which was good. Owen talked to both of them, nonsense mostly, just to fill the terrible silence of the storm. "Almost there now. Going to get you warm, going to be fine. Just hold on a little longer." The line shack appeared out of the snow like a mirage, its dark walls a welcome sight. Owen dismounted, pulled the woman down, and kicked open the door. The interior was dark and cold, but blessedly free of wind. He laid the woman down gently, then went back for his saddlebags and to get his mare into the small lean-to attached to the side of the shack. The animal would be crowded but protected. Inside again, Owen worked quickly. There was a small stove, and someone had left some wood stacked beside it. His hands shook as he built a fire, striking his flint again and again until finally a spark caught. He fed the tiny flame carefully, adding larger pieces as it grew. When he was sure it would not die, he turned his attention to the woman and baby, the baby first. He unwrapped the infant carefully. A boy, he saw, maybe 3 or 4 months old, with a shock of dark hair. The child was cold but moving, crying lustily now. Owen wrapped him in his own spare shirt, then tucked him inside his coat against his chest. The baby quieted somewhat, finding warmth. The woman was worse. Her dress was soaked through, frozen in places. Owen knew he had to get her out of those wet clothes or she would die. His face burned with embarrassment, but there was no help for it. He turned away, gave her what privacy he could, and removed her dress, replacing it with his spare blanket wrapped around her like a robe. Then he lifted her to his bedroll, which he had spread near the stove, and covered her with every other blanket he had. The fire was burning well now, warming the small space. Owen sat beside the woman, the baby still tucked against his chest, and rubbed her hands, her arms, trying to bring circulation back. "Come on," he murmured. "Come on, stay with me." Her eyes fluttered open. "My baby," she whispered. "He is fine. Right here, safe and warm." Owen adjusted his coat so she could see the baby's face. "What is your name?" "Olivia," she breathed. "Olivia Parker." "Owen Webster. You are safe now, Miss Parker. Just rest." "Mrs.," she corrected faintly. "Mrs. Parker." Owen felt an unexpected sinking in his chest at that word, which made no sense given the circumstances. "Where is your husband, Mrs. Parker?" Her face crumpled. "Dead. 2 days ago. We were trying to reach Medicine Bow. Wagon broke down. He went for help. Never came back. I searched. Found him in a ravine. His neck was broken." "Lord have mercy," Owen said quietly. "I am sorry." Tears leaked from the corners of her eyes. "I tried to pull him out, could not, had to leave him. Took the baby, started walking, then the storm came." "You did everything right," Owen told her. "You saved your son, that is what matters." "Samuel," she whispered. "His name is Samuel. That is a fine name." Owen looked down at the baby who had fallen asleep against his chest, exhausted from crying. "He is a strong little fellow, takes after his mother, I reckon." A ghost of a smile crossed Olivia's blue lips. Then her eyes closed again. Owen spent the night tending the fire and watching over them both. Every hour he checked Olivia's breathing, her pulse. Gradually, color returned to her face. The shivering started again, which was good. Her body was warming up, fighting back. Samuel woke twice during the night, crying for food. Olivia roused herself enough to feed him, and Owen turned his back, giving them privacy, stoking the fire and pretending great interest in the storm outside, which showed no signs of letting up. "Thank you," Olivia said softly after the second feeding. "You are a good man, Mr. Webster." "Just doing what anyone would," Owen replied, not turning around. "No," she said. "Not anyone. Most men would have ridden past, would not have hurt us. You saved our lives." Owen did turn then. She was sitting up slightly, the blankets wrapped around her, Samuel cradled in her arms. Even exhausted, grief-stricken and half-frozen, she was beautiful. Her dark hair fell in waves around her face, and her hazel eyes held a depth that made his heart twist. "I am glad I found you," he said simply. She held his gaze for a long moment, something unspoken passing between them. Then she looked down at Samuel. "He was so wanted," she whispered. "James and we tried for 3 years. I had 2 miscarriages. When Samuel came and lived, we thought our troubles were over. We were going to start fresh in Medicine Bow. James heard there was work there, land available. Now he is gone, and I do not know what to do." "One thing at a time," Owen said gently. "First, we wait out this storm. Then I will take you to Medicine Bow. After that, well, we will figure something out." She asked, her voice barely audible. Owen felt his face heat. "I mean, I will help you, make sure you and Samuel are settled somewhere safe." Olivia nodded, but there was something in her expression he could not quite read. She lay back down, Samuel beside her, and soon both were asleep. Owen sat by the fire, his back against the wall, and wondered what he had gotten himself into. He was a drifter, a cowboy who moved from job to job, never staying anywhere long. He had no business making promises to a widow with a baby. But when he looked at Olivia sleeping there, her face peaceful now, one hand resting on Samuel's tiny chest, he knew he could not just walk away. The storm blew itself out by morning. Owen woke to pale sunlight streaming through the cracks in the walls and the sound of Samuel fussing. Olivia was already awake, feeding the baby again, and she gave Owen a shy smile when she saw he was awake. "Good morning," she said. "Morning." Owen stretched, his back protesting from sleeping against the wall. "How are you feeling?" "Better. Sore and tired, but better." She looked around the small cabin. "Is this your place?" "No, just an old line shack. Belongs to whatever ranch owns this section of range, I suppose." "But it served its purpose. It saved our lives." Olivia paused. "You saved our lives. I owe you everything, Mr. Webster. You do not owe me anything, and please call me Owen." "Owen." She tested the name, and he liked the way it sounded in her voice. "Then you must call me Olivia." "Olivia," he agreed. They had no food except some jerky and hardtack in Owen's saddlebags, but they shared it, and Owen melted snow in his tin cup over the fire so Olivia could drink. She was clearly weak, her movements slow and careful, but she insisted she could travel. "We need to get you to a proper doctor," Owen said. "And Samuel, too, make sure he suffered no ill effects from the cold." "I have no money," Olivia said quietly. "James had some, but it was in his coat. I could not get it. I could not even give him a proper burial." Her voice broke on the last word, and Owen moved to sit beside her, close but not touching. "When the weather clears more, I will go back with some men from Medicine Bow. We will find him, bring him into town for a proper burial. I promise you that. You do not have to do all this. You have already done so much. I want to." The words came out more forcefully than Owen intended, and Olivia looked at him with wide eyes. He softened his tone. "Let me help you, please." After a long moment, she nodded. "All right, thank you, Owen." They set out an hour later. Owen fashioned a sling from his extra blanket, so Olivia could carry Samuel against her chest, leaving her hands free to hold onto Owen as she rode behind him on his mare. The horse was not happy about carrying double plus supplies, but she was a sturdy animal and did not complain beyond a few snorts. The ride to Medicine Bow took most of the day. The trail was treacherous, covered in deep snow, and Owen had to go slowly, carefully. Olivia leaned against his back, and he could feel her warmth through his coat. Samuel slept most of the way, tucked safely between his mother and Owen. They talked as they rode. Owen learned that Olivia was 23, originally from Ohio. She and James had married when she was 19, and they had been trying to make a go of farming in Nebraska before deciding to head west. She had no family left, both her parents dead from fever 5 years ago, and she had been an only child. James had a brother somewhere in California, but they had not spoken in years. Owen told her about himself in turn. He was 25, born in Missouri but raised all over the West. His father had been a cavalry officer, killed by Comanche when Owen was 15. His mother had died giving birth to a sister who lived only 3 days. He had been on his own since then, working cattle drives, breaking horses, doing whatever work he could find. "You ever want to settle down?" Olivia asked. Owen considered that. "Maybe, never found a reason to before. It is easier to move on when nothing ties you down." "It sounds lonely." "It is," Owen admitted, "but it is also free, no one to answer to but yourself." "Freedom is not the same as happiness," Olivia said softly. Owen thought about that for a long while and realized she was right. He had been free for 10 years, and he could not remember the last time he had been truly happy. Content sometimes, satisfied with a job well done, but happy? No. Medicine Bow appeared as the sun was setting, a small collection of buildings along the railroad line. The Union Pacific had come through a few years back, and the town had sprung up to service it. Owen rode straight to the doctor's house, a neat white building with a sign out front. Dr. Harrington was a gruff man in his 50s with kind eyes. He examined both Olivia and Samuel, declared them remarkably healthy given their ordeal, and prescribed rest, warm food, and warmth. "Lucky you found them when you did," he told Owen. "Another hour and we would be having a different conversation." "Is there a hotel in town?" Owen asked. "Just one. Mrs. Chen's place down the street. Clean rooms, reasonable rates." Owen took Olivia and Samuel to the hotel, but when they walked in, the woman behind the desk took one look at Olivia's ragged appearance and frowned. "We do not take charity cases," she said coldly. "I am paying," Owen said, pulling out some of his wages from the last cattle drive. "A room for the lady and her child." Mrs. Chen, a severe-looking woman of Chinese descent, studied him. "How long?" "A week to start." Owen put coins on the desk. "With meals." The money seemed to satisfy her. She handed him a key. "Room 3, top of the stairs. Breakfast is at 7, dinner at 6. You cause trouble, you leave." "Understood, understood," Olivia said quietly. "Thank you." The room was small but clean, with a real bed and a stove. Olivia looked around like she had stepped into a palace. "Owen, I cannot let you pay for this. It is too much. You need a place to stay while you get your strength back. This is that place." He set his saddlebags down. "I will sleep in the livery. Already paid for the week there too." "You gave me your bed last night," Olivia said. "You cannot keep giving up your comfort for me." "I can and I will." Owen smiled. "Besides, I am used to hard ground. That mattress in here would probably give me a backache." Olivia laughed, a real laugh, and Owen felt something warm bloom in his chest at the sound. "You are the most stubborn man I have ever met, Owen Webster." "I will take that as a compliment, Olivia Parker." They stood there smiling at each other until Samuel made a small noise, breaking the moment. Owen cleared his throat. "I should let you rest. I will come by tomorrow, check on you both." "Owen, wait." Olivia crossed to him, stood on her toes, and kissed his cheek. "Thank you for everything." Owen's face burned. "You are welcome," he managed. Then he fled before he did something foolish like pull her into his arms. He spent the night in the livery as planned, but sleep eluded him. He kept seeing Olivia's face, feeling that kiss on his cheek. He was in trouble, he realized. Deep trouble. He was falling for a woman who had just lost her husband, a woman with a baby, a woman who needed help, not a drifter cowboy with no prospects and no plans beyond the next job. But his heart did not seem to care about any of that. In the morning, Owen went to the marshal's office. Marshal Tate was a weathered man with a drooping mustache who listened to Owen's story about James Parker. "I can deputize a few men, go out looking," he said. "But with all this snow, might take some time to find the body." "I promised his widow we would bring him back," Owen said. Tate nodded. "We will do our best. Where can I find you?" Owen gave him the name of the livery, then headed to the hotel. Olivia was in the dining room, Samuel in her arms, picking at a plate of eggs and toast. She brightened when she saw Owen. "Good morning. Have you eaten? Please join me." Owen sat, and Mrs. Chen brought him a plate without him asking. The food was good, better than anything he had eaten in months. They ate in companionable silence for a while, Olivia managing to eat one-handed while holding Samuel. "Let me," Owen said, setting down his fork. "I can hold him while you eat properly." Olivia hesitated, then carefully transferred Samuel to Owen's arms. The baby looked up at him with solemn dark eyes, and Owen felt his heart melt. "Hello there, young man," he murmured. Samuel grabbed his finger with a surprisingly strong grip. Olivia watched them with an expression Owen could not read. "He likes you," she said finally. "He does not usually take to strangers." "I am not a stranger anymore," Owen said. "We spent a whole night together in that shack. That makes us old friends, right, Samuel? The baby made a cooing sound, and Olivia smiled. I think that is baby for yes. After breakfast, Owen took Olivia and Samuel for a walk around town. Medicine Bow was small, but it had most necessities. A general store, a bank, a church, a schoolhouse, a few saloons. Owen introduced Olivia to people they met, explaining she was new to town. Most folks were friendly enough, though Owen saw the way some of the women looked at Olivia's worn dress and whispered behind their hands. At the general store, Owen bought fabric and had it sent to the seamstress with instructions to make Olivia 2 new dresses. When Olivia protested, he cut her off. "You need proper clothes, let me do this." "Owen, you have already spent so much. I have money saved, nowhere to spend it anyway, please." Olivia looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "I will pay you back somehow when I am able, no need." Owen handed Samuel back to her. "I should go see about work, need to find a job if I am staying in town a while." "You are staying?" Olivia's voice was hopeful, and Owen's heart skipped. "For a while anyway, make sure you are settled." "I am glad," she said softly. Owen found work easily enough. A rancher named Patterson had a spread outside town and needed help with winter feeding. The pay was decent, and Patterson said Owen could stay in the bunkhouse with the other hands. Owen took the job but kept paying for his spot in the livery. He did not want to be too far from town, from Olivia. The next week fell into a pattern. Owen would work during the day, then come into town in the evening. He would have dinner with Olivia and Samuel, sometimes at the hotel, sometimes at the small cafe that stayed open late. They would talk for hours, about everything and nothing. Olivia told him about her childhood in Ohio, about learning to sew from her mother, about the books she loved to read. Owen told her about the places he had been, the things he had seen, the freedom of the open range. "You miss it?" Olivia asked one night. "The traveling?" Owen thought about it. "No," he realized, "I do not. For the first time in 10 years, I am happy staying in one place." Olivia's hand found his across the table. "I am glad you stayed." Their fingers intertwined, and Owen knew he was lost. He was in love with her completely and utterly. It was too soon, too fast, too complicated. But it was real. Marshall Tate found James Parker's body 2 weeks after the storm. Owen went with the recovery party, helped bring the body back to town. James had been a big man, dark-haired like his son, and his neck was indeed broken. They had a funeral 3 days later. Owen stood beside Olivia, holding Samuel as the preacher said words over the grave. Olivia cried silently, and Owen ached for her. After everyone else left, Olivia stood there looking at the headstone Owen had paid for. "I loved him," she said quietly. "But it was not a grand passion. We were friends who married because it made sense. We wanted children, a home. We cared for each other, but I do not think we were ever truly in love." Owen did not know what to say to that, so he said nothing. "I feel guilty," Olivia continued. "He has been dead less than a month, and I find myself thinking about you constantly, wanting to see you, missing you when you are gone. What kind of wife does that make me? A human one," Owen said gently. "You are allowed to live, Olivia. James would want that." "How do you know?" "Because any man who loved you, even as a friend, would want you to be happy, and you deserve to be happy." She turned to him then, tears streaming down her face. "I am falling in love with you, Owen Webster. I know it is too soon. I know it is wrong, but I cannot help it." Owen's heart soared. "It is not wrong, and for what it is worth, I am already in love with you, have been since that first night, I think, when you asked me to save your baby before yourself." "What are we going to do?" Olivia whispered. "Whatever feels right." Owen shifted Samuel to one arm and wiped Olivia's tears with his free hand. "There is no rule book for this, Olivia. We just have to figure it out as we go." She nodded, then leaned into him. Owen wrapped his free arm around her, and they stood there by James Parker's grave, holding each other and the baby, while the Wyoming wind blew cold around them. Over the next months, Owen and Olivia's relationship deepened. Owen was careful, respectful of her grief and her reputation. He did not push for more than she was ready to give. They spent their evenings together, but always in public places or with Samuel as a chaperone. The town gossips talked, of course, but Owen did not care. Let them talk. Olivia bloomed. With proper food and rest, she regained her strength. The seamstress made her 3 dresses, and Owen thought she looked beautiful in all of them. She got a job helping at the general store, minding the place a few days a week so the owner could make supply runs. Mrs. Chen at the hotel agreed to watch Samuel during those hours, and the arrangement worked well. Samuel grew, as babies do. By spring, he was 6 months old, chubby and happy, with a laugh that could light up a room. Owen was besotted with the child. He carved him a rattle, bought him a stuffed horse, spent hours making faces just to hear that laugh. "You are going to spoil him," Olivia said one evening, watching Owen play with Samuel. "That is my right as an honorary uncle," Owen replied, making Samuel shriek with laughter by pretending to eat his toes. "Is that what you are, an honorary uncle?" Olivia's tone was teasing, but with an edge of something else. Owen looked up at her. "I am whatever you want me to be, Olivia." She held his gaze. "I want you to be mine." The words hung in the air between them. Owen carefully set Samuel down in his basket, then crossed to Olivia. "Are you sure? It has only been 5 months since James passed. People will talk. People are already talking, and I do not care. Life is too short and too uncertain. I almost died in that snow, Owen. So did Samuel. I do not want to waste any more time being afraid of what people think." She took his hands. "I love you. I want to be with you if you will have me, if I will have you," Owen laughed. "Olivia, you are all I think about. You and Samuel. I want to marry you, want to be a father to that boy, want to build a life with you. I have never wanted anything more." "Then ask me," Olivia said, her eyes shining. Owen dropped to one knee. "Olivia Parker, would you do me the honor of becoming my wife?" "Yes," she said, pulling him to his feet. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Owen kissed her then, really kissed her for the first time. It was everything he had imagined and more. She melted into him, her arms around his neck, and he held her like she was the most precious thing in the world, because she was. They were married a month later, in June of 1874. The ceremony was small, just a few friends and townsfolk. Olivia wore a new dress, pale blue, and she looked like an angel. Samuel attended too, of course, gurgling happily in Mrs. Chen's arms during the ceremony. When the preacher pronounced them husband and wife, Owen kissed Olivia with all the love in his heart. Owen had saved enough money to make a down payment on a small house at the edge of town. It had 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, a good stove, and a little yard. It was not much, but it was theirs. Olivia cried when she saw it, happy tears. "It is perfect," she said, walking through the empty rooms. "We can make this a real home." "We will," Owen promised. "Together." They furnished the house slowly, buying what they could afford. Owen kept working for Patterson, and Olivia kept her job at the general store. Money was tight, but they were happy. Samuel thrived, starting to crawl, babbling constantly. Owen taught him to say Papa, and the first time Samuel called him that, Owen cried. "He is your son now," Olivia said, holding Owen as he wept. "In every way that matters. I love him like my own," Owen said. "I hope you know that. I do. And he loves you." Life settled into a rhythm. Owen worked, Olivia worked, they took care of Samuel together. In the evenings they would sit on their small porch, watching the sun set over the mountains, Samuel playing at their feet. Owen had never been so content. But life has a way of testing happiness. In September, A man came to town asking after Olivia Parker. He was tall, dark-haired, dressed in an expensive suit. He said his name was Frank Parker and he was James's brother. Owen was at work when Frank arrived, so he did not know about the visitor until he came home that evening and found Olivia in tears, Samuel clutching at her skirts. "What happened?" Owen asked, immediately at her side. "James's brother came. He wants Samuel." Owen felt his blood go cold. "What do you mean, he wants Samuel?" "He says that Samuel is a Parker, that he deserves to be raised by his father's family. He is James's only living relative besides his son. He says he can give Samuel advantages we cannot, a good education, opportunities." Olivia's hands shook. "He says if I do not give Samuel to him willingly, he will take me to court. Like hell he will." Owen's voice was hard. "Samuel is our son. He stays with us." "But what if the court sides with him? What if they say a blood relative has more right than a stepfather?" Olivia's voice rose in panic. "Owen, I cannot lose my baby, I cannot." Owen pulled her into his arms, then picked up Samuel too, holding both of them. "You will not lose him. I promise you, Olivia. I will not let anyone take our son." But Owen was worried. He knew the law often favored blood relations. And Frank Parker clearly had money, which meant he could afford good lawyers. Owen and Olivia could not. Owen went to see Marshall. Tate explained the situation. Tate frowned. "I have heard of Frank Parker. He is a businessman in San Francisco, owns a shipping company. Rich as sin. If he wants the boy, he has the means to fight for him. What can we do? Get a lawyer. Fight back. But I will be honest with you, Owen. It will be expensive and the outcome is uncertain." Owen went to the only lawyer in Medicine Bow, a man named Simmons. Simmons listened to the story, then shook his head. "You would need to prove that Mr. Parker is unfit, or that removing Samuel from your care would be harmful to the child. That is a difficult case to make. The child is not yet a year old. A judge might decide that a wealthy uncle can provide better than a cowboy and his wife. Samuel knows us. We are his parents, the only ones he remembers. Ripping him away would be cruel." "I agree, but the law does not always account for cruelty, especially not the emotional kind." Simmons tapped his desk. "I can represent you, but my fees are not cheap, and I have to be honest, I do not like your chances." Owen left the office feeling defeated. He did not have money for a long legal battle, and even if he did, he might still lose. That night, he held Olivia while she cried herself to sleep. Samuel slept in his cradle beside their bed, blissfully unaware of the threat hanging over them. Owen watched his son, this child he had come to love as much as if he shared his blood, and felt a fierce protectiveness wash over him. No one was taking Samuel. No one. Frank Parker came to their house the next day. Owen answered the door, blocking the entrance with his body. "Mr. Webster, I presume," Frank said. He had James's coloring but a harder face. "May I come in?" "No, I just want to talk." "We have nothing to say to you. Samuel is our son and he is staying with us," Frank sighed. "Mr. Webster, please be reasonable. I can give the boy everything. The finest schools, travel, culture. What can you give him? A life of poverty on the frontier." "We can give him love," Owen said coldly. "A family, parents who would die for him. Can you say the same? I am his blood. His family. My brother's son deserves to be raised as a Parker, not as a cowboy's stepchild. He is being raised as a Webster, and he is loved and wanted." "That is more than you can offer." Frank's face hardened. "I tried to do this the easy way. I will see you in court, Mr. Webster, and I will win." He turned and walked away. Owen closed the door and leaned against it, his heart pounding. Olivia stood in the kitchen doorway, her face white. "What are we going to do?" she whispered. "Fight," Owen said, "with everything we have." The court date was set for October. In the weeks leading up to it, Owen and Olivia gathered what they could for their defense. They got letters from Dr. Harrington attesting to their good care of Samuel. Mrs. Chen wrote a letter saying what a good mother Olivia was. Patterson wrote about Owen's character and work ethic. The preacher who married them wrote about their commitment to each other and to Samuel, but Frank Parker brought his own evidence. Lawyers in expensive suits. Bank statements showing his considerable wealth. Testimony from society figures in San Francisco vouching for his character. Plans for Samuel's education and upbringing that sounded impressive on paper. The judge was a stern man named Whitmore, brought in from Cheyenne because Medicine Bow was too small to have its own circuit judge. He listened to both sides, examined the evidence, and asked Samuel be brought into the courtroom. Owen carried his son in, Samuel now 10 months old and teething, a little fussy. The judge looked at the baby, then at Owen and Olivia, then at Frank Parker. "Mr. Parker," the judge said, "approach with the child." Owen's heart sank, but he obeyed. He walked to where Frank stood and held Samuel out. Samuel took one look at Frank, a stranger, and screamed. He twisted in Owen's arms, reaching back for Olivia, crying, "Mama, Mama," in distress. Owen pulled Samuel back against his chest, and the baby immediately calmed, burying his face in Owen's shirt. "Papa," Samuel whimpered. The judge watched this carefully. "Mr. Parker," he said to Frank, "you say you want to raise this child out of familial duty and to honor your brother's memory. But I have to ask, do you actually want this child? Or do you want to win?" Frank looked taken aback. "I want what is best for my nephew. What is best for this child is to remain with the only parents he has ever known." The judge's voice was firm. "This court recognizes the bond between Samuel Webster and his mother and adoptive father. Blood may tie you to this child, Mr. Parker, but love binds him to the Websters. I rule in favor of Owen and Olivia Webster. Samuel will remain in their custody. Furthermore, I am granting them legal adoption rights, severing any claim you might have in the future." Owen thought his knees might give out. Olivia burst into tears. Samuel, sensing the emotion, started crying too, though he did not know why. Frank Parker stood stiffly. "This is not over," he said coldly. "I will appeal." "You may try," Judge Whitmore said, "but I have made my ruling clear and provided sound legal reasoning. I do not believe any appeals court will overturn it. This child stays with his family. These proceedings are concluded." Outside the courthouse, Owen held both Olivia and Samuel, all three of them crying and laughing at once. Their friends gathered around, congratulating them, hugging them. Owen saw Frank Parker riding out of town and felt only relief. Let him go. Let him appeal. Samuel was theirs, legally and permanently now. "We won," Olivia kept saying. "We actually won." "We did," Owen said, kissing her forehead, then Samuel's. "Our family stays together." Frank Parker did appeal, but as Judge Whitmore predicted, the appeals court upheld the ruling. After that, they heard nothing more from him. Owen suspected the man had never really wanted Samuel, just could not stand to lose. Once it was clear he could not win, he lost interest. Life went on. Samuel grew into a bright, energetic toddler, always into everything, keeping Owen and Olivia busy. Owen continued to work for Patterson, eventually becoming the foreman. Olivia quit her job at the general store when she became pregnant with their second child in the spring of 1875. "Are you happy?" Owen asked one night, his hand resting on her growing belly. "Happier than I ever imagined I could be," Olivia said. "Sometimes I think about that night in the snow, how close we came to dying, and then I think about everything that has come since. You saved us, Owen, in more ways than one." "You saved me too," Owen said. "I was just drifting before I found you. Now I have a purpose, a home, a family." Their daughter was born in December of 1875, exactly 2 years after Owen found Olivia and Samuel in the snow. They named her Grace because that is what she was, grace and blessing. Samuel, now 2 years old, was fascinated by his baby sister. He would stand by her cradle, patting her gently and saying "baby" over and over. Owen watched his children and felt overwhelmed with love. 2 more children followed. Another son, Oliver, in 1877. And finally another daughter, Rose, in 1879. Their little house became crowded, but it was filled with love and laughter. Owen eventually bought land from Patterson, a nice section with good water and grass. He built a bigger house, started his own small herd. It was not a huge operation, but it was his. The Webster Ranch. He taught Samuel to ride, to rope, to care for animals. Samuel was a natural cowboy, fearless and skilled. Grace grew into a fierce little girl who climbed trees and caught frogs and announced she was going to be a rancher like her papa. Oliver was quieter, bookish, preferring to read rather than work cattle. Rose was still a baby, but she had Olivia's eyes and Owen's determination. Olivia ran the household with efficiency and love. She made their house a home, filled it with good food and warmth and laughter. She taught the children to read, to be kind, to work hard. She was an amazing mother and an even better wife. Owen would sometimes still wake in the night, reach for Olivia in the darkness and feel profound gratitude that she was there. Real, his. "What are you thinking?" she would ask, her voice sleepy. "That I am the luckiest man alive," Owen would say, and he meant it. Years passed. The children grew. Samuel became a strong young man who decided to stay on the ranch and help his father. Grace, true to her word, became a skilled rancher, much to the surprise of the community. Oliver went to school in Cheyenne, studying to be a lawyer. Rose became a teacher in Medicine Bow. Owen and Olivia grew older together, their love deepening with each passing year. They had weathered storms, both literal and figurative. They had built a life together from nothing, created a family, a home, a legacy. On a December evening in 1893, 20 years after that fateful night in the snow, Owen and Olivia sat on the porch of their home, watching the sun set. Their grandchildren played in the yard, Samuel's 3 boys and Grace's twin daughters. Rose was inside, helping her husband with dinner. Oliver was visiting from Cheyenne with his wife. "Hard to believe it has been 20 years, Olivia said, her hand in Owen's. They were both in their mid-40s now, their hair showing threads of silver, but still healthy and strong. "Best 20 years of my life," Owen said. "Mine too." Olivia leaned her head on his shoulder. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had ridden past us that night, if you had not heard Samuel crying?" "No," Owen said, "because that is not what happened. I did hear him. I did find you, and it led to this." He gestured at the scene before them, their children and grandchildren, their ranch, their life. "I believe some things are meant to be, Olivia. We were meant to find each other." "I believe that too," she said softly. Samuel came out onto the porch, now a man of 21, tall and strong. "Ma, Pa, dinner is almost ready. You coming in?" "In a minute, son," Owen said. Samuel smiled and went back inside. Owen still marveled sometimes that this man was his son, not by blood but by choice and love. The best kind of son. "He turned out well," Olivia said, echoing Owen's thoughts. "They all did. Because of you." "Because of us," Olivia corrected. Inside, the house was full of noise and warmth. Dinner was a chaotic affair with so many people, but Owen loved it. This was what he had always wanted without knowing it. Family. Belonging. Love. After dinner, when the grandchildren were being put to bed and the older children were cleaning up, Owen and Olivia stepped outside again. The stars were brilliant in the cold December sky, and the air had that sharp quality that promised snow. "It is going to storm," Olivia observed. "Let it," Owen said, pulling her close. "We are home. We are safe. We have everything we need." "We have each other," Olivia said, tilting her face up to kiss him. "That is all we have ever really needed." Owen kissed his wife under the stars, surrounded by the evidence of their love, and knew she was right. Everything else, the house, the ranch, the material things, they were nice. But each other, their love, their family, that was everything. The snow began to fall, soft and gentle, nothing like that terrible storm 20 years ago. But it reminded Owen of that night, of finding Olivia and Samuel, of making a choice that changed his entire life. "Thank you," he whispered against Olivia's lips. "For what? For letting me love you, for building this life with me, for choosing me." "I will always choose you," Olivia said. "In this life and the next. You are my home, Owen Webster, and you are mine, Olivia Webster." They stood there in the falling snow, holding each other, while the sounds of their family drifted out from the warm house behind them. Inside, grandchildren laughed, their children talked and joked, and life went on, full and rich and beautiful. Owen thought about the man he had been 20 years ago, the drifter with no ties, no home, no purpose. He had ridden into a storm thinking only of finding shelter, and instead he had found everything. A woman half frozen in the snow, a baby crying, a future he never knew he wanted. He had given them his bed that night, slept by the fire to keep watch over them. It had seemed like such a small thing at the time, but it had been the first step on a journey that led here, to this moment, to this life. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness ripple out in ways we cannot imagine. A stranger helps a woman and child in a storm. A heart opens to love when it had been closed. A family is born from tragedy and chance. As the years continued to pass, Owen and Olivia's love only grew stronger. They faced the challenges of aging together, of watching their children navigate their own lives, of adapting to a West that was changing rapidly as the new century approached. In 1897, Samuel married a girl from Laramie named Elizabeth, and they gave Owen and Olivia 3 more grandchildren. Grace married a neighboring rancher and had 2 more children. Oliver brought his family back from Cheyenne to settle permanently in Medicine Bow, opening a law practice there. Rose and her husband built a school on the edge of town and filled it with students. The Webster Ranch prospered. Samuel took over more of the daily operations as Owen slowed down, though Owen never fully retired. He still rode out most days, checking fences, moving cattle, doing the work he loved. Owen and Olivia celebrated their 25th wedding anniversary in 1899 with a big party. The whole town came, it seemed. They danced under the stars just as they had at their wedding, and Owen held Olivia close, marveling that she was still as beautiful to him as she had been that first night. 25 years, Olivia said. Sometimes it feels like yesterday. Sometimes it feels like forever. The best forever, Owen said. The very best, she agreed. As the new century dawned in 1900, Owen was 52 and Olivia 50. They were still healthy, still working, still deeply in love. Their family had grown large, with grandchildren of various ages filling their lives with joy. One winter evening, much like the one 27 years before, Owen and Olivia were sitting by their fire. A storm raged outside, but they were warm and safe inside their home. Olivia was knitting, her fingers still nimble despite some arthritis. Owen was mending a saddle, his hands work worn but steady. "You remember that first night?" Owen asked suddenly. "In the line shack." Olivia looked up, smiling. "I think about it often. You were so kind, so selfless." "I was terrified, certain Samuel and I would die, And then you appeared like an angel. A very cold, very tired angel, Owen joked. My angel nonetheless. Olivia set down her knitting. I fell in love with you that night, I think. I did not realize it until later, but the seed was planted then. The way you held Samuel, the way you cared for us without expecting anything in return. I had never known a man like you. I fell in love with you then too, Owen admitted. I saw your courage, your strength, how you begged me to save Samuel before yourself. What mother you were. What woman you were. I was a goner right then. They smiled at each other across the years, across the love that had sustained them through everything. If you could go back, Olivia asked, knowing everything that would happen, would you still stop, still help us? Every single time, Owen said without hesitation. You and Samuel and the children we made together, you are my whole world. I would ride through 1,000 storms to find you again. Olivia's eyes filled with tears. I love you, Owen Webster. I love you, Olivia Webster. More years passed, each one a gift. Owen and Olivia saw their grandchildren grow, saw some marry and start families of their own. Great-grandchildren began to arrive, and Owen would hold these tiny new lives and marvel at the legacy he and Olivia had created. In 1905, Owen turned 57. He was slowing down more now, his body feeling the decades of hard work. But he was content. He had lived a full life, a good life. He had loved and been loved. What more could a man ask for? Samuel, now 32, ran the ranch with his brothers-in-law helping. The Webster spread was one of the most successful in the area, known for its quality cattle and fair dealings. The Webster name meant something in Wyoming, and Owen was proud of that. Olivia, at 55, was still the heart of their family. She cooked for gatherings, mediated disputes, loved everyone fiercely. Her hair was silver now, her face lined, but Owen thought she was more beautiful than ever. You are staring, she said one morning, catching him watching her as she made breakfast. Cannot help it. You are worth staring at. She laughed, swatting him with a towel. You old fool. You're old fool, Owen said, catching her around the waist and kissing her. Even after more than 30 years of marriage, they still made each other laugh, still found joy in simple moments together. In December of 1906, they celebrated the 33rd anniversary of the night Owen found Olivia and Samuel in the snow. It had become a tradition to mark that date as a second anniversary of sorts, the day their lives truly began. The whole family gathered at the ranch house. Samuel and Elizabeth with their children, Grace and her husband with theirs, Oliver and his wife and children, Rose and her husband and children. The house was bursting with people, 3 generations of Websters, all because Owen had heard a baby crying in a storm and decided to help. After dinner, Samuel stood up, his wife beside him. Ma, Pa, we wanted to say something. All of us kids have been talking, and we wanted you to know how grateful we are for everything you have given us. Not just material things, though we appreciate those, but for showing us what love looks like, what commitment and partnership and family mean. You two are our example, our foundation. And we love you both so much. He had to stop, overcome with emotion. Grace picked up where he left off. We know our family story is unusual. Pa, you are not my biological father or Oliver's or Rose's. And Samuel, you lost your first father before you could know him. But none of that matters. You are our Pa. You have been from the beginning. You chose to love us, and that makes it even more special. Now Oliver spoke. We want you to know that the legacy you are leaving is not this ranch, as wonderful as it is. It is not the land or the cattle or the house. It is us. Your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. It is the love you have taught us to give. That is what will endure. Finally Rose, tears streaming down her face. We love you both so much. Thank you for being the best parents anyone could ask for." Owen could not speak. His throat was too tight with emotion. Olivia was openly weeping. Samuel came over and hugged them both, and then all their children joined in, and then the grandchildren, until Owen and Olivia were surrounded by their family, by love, by everything that mattered. Later that night, after everyone had gone to their own homes or to bed in the guest rooms, Owen and Olivia sat alone by the fire, much as they had that first night in the line shack. "We did good, did we not?" Olivia asked softly. "We did better than good," Owen said. "We did amazing." "I was so scared that night," Olivia said. "The night you found us, I thought we were going to die. I was making peace with it, praying Samuel would somehow survive even if I did not. And then I heard your voice. I thought I was hallucinating." "I almost did not hear you," Owen said. "The wind was so loud. If Samuel had not cried just at that moment, if I had been a few feet farther away, I would have missed you. But you did not. You heard us. You saved us." Olivia took his hand. "And then you kept saving us every day since. You gave us your bed that first night, Owen. But you have given us so much more since then. You have given us your life, your heart, your everything." "It has been my privilege," Owen said. "You and Samuel, you saved me just as much as I saved you. You gave me a reason to stop drifting. You gave me a home, a purpose, love." "I got the better end of this deal, Olivia." "I think we both did pretty well," Olivia said, smiling through her tears. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the fire, holding hands, savoring the peace and love that filled their home. "Do you have any regrets?" Owen asked. Olivia thought about it. "Only that James did not get to see Samuel grow up. He would have been proud of the man our son became. But no, I do not regret anything else. This life with you, it has been everything I could have wanted and more." "I have no regrets either," Owen said. "Not a single one." The fire crackled softly. Outside, the December wind blew, but it was not the terrible storm of 33 years ago. Just a normal winter wind, cold but not deadly. They were safe and warm together, surrounded by evidence of their love. As the night grew late, they went to bed, still holding hands as they had every night for more than 3 decades. Their bedroom was simple but comfortable, filled with small mementos of their life together. A wedding photograph. The rattle Owen had carved for Samuel. A drawing Grace had made as a child. The first book Oliver had ever read by himself. A pressed flower from Rose's wedding bouquet. Owen pulled Olivia close, and she nestled against him, her head on his chest, his arms around her. This was his favorite moment of every day, holding his wife, feeling her heart beat against his, knowing she was his and he was hers. "Good night, my love," Olivia whispered. "Good night, my heart," Owen replied. They drifted off to sleep, secure in their love, content in their life, grateful for every moment they had been given. The years continued their steady march. Owen and Olivia grew older, but their love never dimmed. They faced the challenges of aging with grace, supporting each other through aches and pains, through the losses that come with growing old. Friends passed. Neighbors died. But they had each other and they had their family, and that was enough. In 1914, the world outside was changing rapidly. Automobiles were becoming common. The talk was of war in Europe. The Old West that Owen and Olivia had known was fading into history. But on the Webster ranch, some things stayed the same. Families still gathered for Sunday dinners. The cattle still needed tending. The seasons still turned. Love still endured. Owen was 66 now, his hair white, his face deeply lined. His body ached most days, decades of hard work taking their toll. But he still rode when he could, still worked with Samuel, still found joy in the land he loved. Olivia was 64, her movements slower, but her mind sharp as ever. She still baked bread every week, still welcomed her ever-growing family with open arms, still laughed at Owen's jokes. One spring evening, they were sitting on their porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors. Samuel and his oldest son were working with some horses in the corral. Great-grandchildren played in the yard. The air smelled of grass and earth and home. "This is my heaven," Owen said quietly, "right here, this moment." Olivia squeezed his hand. "Mine too." "I want you to know," Owen said, "that loving you has been the greatest adventure of my life. Every day with you has been a gift." "Why does this sound like you are saying goodbye?" Olivia asked, a note of fear in her voice. "I am not yet. I just want to make sure you know that you have always known. You are the love of my life, Olivia Webster. Finding you in that snow was the best thing that ever happened to me." "And you are mine," Olivia said fiercely. "We still have time, Owen Webster. Years yet." "I hope so," Owen said. "Lord, I hope so. But if we do not, if something happens, I need you to know that I have no regrets. This life we built, it has been perfect." Tears streamed down Olivia's face. "Stop talking like this. You are scaring me." Owen pulled her close. "I am sorry. I just felt like I needed to say it. I love you, Olivia, forever." "Forever," she echoed. They did have more time. More years of sunsets and family dinners, of grandchildren and great-grandchildren, of quiet mornings and peaceful nights. Owen's body continued to slow, but his mind stayed clear, his heart stayed full. In 1917, Owen had a heart attack. It was not severe, but it was a warning. The doctor told him he needed to take it easy, rest more, work less. Owen tried, but it was hard. He was a man who had worked his whole life. Sitting idle did not suit him. Olivia became his fierce protector, making sure he followed doctor's orders, refusing to let him overdo it. "You are not leaving me," she would say. "Not yet. We have more time." And they did. Owen recovered, regained some strength. He could not work like he used to, but he could still ride a little, still spend time with his family, still love his wife. Samuel took on even more of the ranch work, with his son stepping up to help. The Webster Ranch continued to thrive under the new generation, and Owen was proud of what his son had accomplished. In 1918, the Spanish flu swept through Medicine Bow, as it did much of the world. The Webster family was fortunate. No one died, though several were sick. Owen and Olivia, already weakened by age, isolated themselves at the ranch, avoiding town until the worst had passed. During those months of isolation, they were often alone together, just the two of them like in the early days. They talked for hours, reminiscing about their life, telling old stories, laughing and occasionally crying. "If I had known that night in the snow would lead to this," Olivia said one afternoon, "I would have thanked you more." "You have thanked me every day," Owen said, "by loving me, by building this life with me. That has been thanks enough." "Still," Olivia said. "Thank you, Owen, for everything." "Thank you," Owen replied, "for saying yes, for trusting me, for loving me back." When the flu finally passed and life returned to something like normal, their family gathered again. Everyone had survived, and there was much rejoicing. Owen looked around at his children, his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren, and felt overwhelmed with gratitude. He was 70 years old. Olivia was 68, and they had been together for 45 years. 45 years of love and life and family. It was more than most people got. It was more than Owen had ever dreamed possible. That December, on the 46th anniversary of finding Olivia and Samuel in the snow, the family gathered as they always did. But this year felt different somehow. More precious. More aware of the passage of time. Samuel, now 46 himself, stood to make a toast. "To Ma and Pa," he said, his voice thick with emotion. who taught us what love really means, who built a family from nothing but courage and kindness, who have been our example and our inspiration. We love you both more than words can say." "Hear, hear," everyone chorused, raising their glasses. Owen stood slowly, Olivia beside him. "I want to say something too," he said. 46 years ago, I was a drifter with no home, no family, no purpose. I was just trying to survive a storm, and then I heard a baby crying. I could have ridden past. It would have been easier, safer. But something made me stop, made me look, and I found two people who would become my whole world." He looked at Samuel, tears in his eyes. "You were just a baby, son, crying in the snow. Your mother was trying so hard to protect you, even though she was dying herself, and I knew I had to help. I gave you my bed that night, slept by the fire to keep watch. It seemed like such a small thing, but it changed my entire life." He turned to Olivia. "And you were so brave, so strong. Even half frozen, you only cared about your baby. You impressed me that night, and you have impressed me every day since. Falling in love with you was the easiest thing I ever did. Staying in love with you has been the greatest joy of my life." Olivia was crying openly now. "Owen." "This family," Owen continued, gesturing around the room, "all of you, you exist because I stopped that night, because I helped, because love grew from that moment. And I want you all to remember that. Remember that kindness matters, that helping someone in need can change everything. That love is worth fighting for, that family is everything." He sat down heavily, exhausted from the emotion and the effort of standing. Olivia held him, and their children and grandchildren surrounded them, all of them crying, all of them holding each other. It was a perfect moment. A perfect gathering. Owen felt complete. The winter of 1918 turned into the spring of 1919. Owen's health declined slowly but steadily. He was not in pain, just tired, so tired. His body was wearing out after 70 years of life. He spent his days in a chair on the porch, watching the ranch he loved, surrounded by family. Olivia rarely left his side. They held hands, talked when he had energy, sat in comfortable silence when he did not. "I am not afraid," Owen told her one afternoon. "I have had a good life, a perfect life. I am ready whenever God calls me home." "I am not ready," Olivia said fiercely. "I am not ready to let you go. I know, and I will fight to stay as long as I can. But when the time comes, I need you to let me go, live your life, be happy. Spend time with our family, they need you." "I need you," Olivia whispered. "And you will always have me, in your heart, in our children, in the legacy we built together. I am not really leaving, my love. I will always be with you." In May of 1919, on a beautiful spring morning, Owen woke to sunshine streaming through the window and Olivia sleeping beside him. He watched her for a while, memorizing her face, still so beautiful to him after all these years. His chest hurt. Not badly, but enough to notice. He knew his time was close. He could feel it. "Olivia," he whispered, touching her face gently. She woke immediately, instantly alert. "Owen, what is wrong?" "Nothing is wrong. Everything is right. I just wanted to look at you, to tell you one more time that I love you, that you have made me happier than any man has a right to be." "Owen, no, not yet, please." "Not yet," he agreed. "But soon. And I am okay with that. I have had more than I ever deserved." He made it through that day and the next. Samuel came to visit, and Owen held his hand, told him how proud he was, how much he loved him, how Samuel had been his greatest joy along with his other children. "You are my father," Samuel said, crying. "In every way that matters. You raised me. You loved me. You were always there." "I love you, Pa. I love you too, son. Take care of your mother for me, and remember you are a Webster. Make that name mean something." "I will. I promise." Grace came, and Oliver and Rose. Owen told each of them how much he loved them, how proud he was of who they had become. He held grandchildren and great-grandchildren, imprinting their faces in his memory to take with him. But mostly, he was with Olivia, holding her hand, looking into her eyes, loving her with every beat of his failing heart. On May 15, 1919, Owen Webster died peacefully in his sleep, Olivia beside him as she had been for 45 years. His last words were, "I love you, Olivia, forever." The funeral was the largest medicine Bo had ever seen. People came from all over Wyoming to pay their respects to a man who had lived with integrity, kindness, and love. The Webster family, 3 generations strong, mourned together, supporting each other through their grief. Olivia was devastated but strong. She had known this day would come. Owen had prepared her as best he could, but knowing and experiencing were different things. The loss was a physical pain, an emptiness that nothing could fill. But she was not alone. Her children surrounded her with love. Samuel moved her into the main ranch house so he could watch over her. Her grandchildren visited constantly. Her great-grandchildren brought light and laughter into her dark days. She lived for 7 more years, surrounded by the family she and Owen had created. She told stories about their life together, making sure the younger generations knew where they came from, knew the love story that had started it all. She never remarried. "Owen was my one true love," she would say. "No one could ever replace him." On December 21, 1926, 53 years to the day after Owen found her in the snow, Olivia died quietly in her sleep. She was 81 years old. Her last words, spoken to Samuel, were, "I am going to see your father now." Finally. She was buried beside Owen on a hill overlooking the ranch they had built together. Their headstones were simple. Owen Webster, 1848–1919, beloved husband, father, and grandfather, he gave them his bed and slept by the fire. Olivia Webster, 1845–1926, beloved wife, mother, and grandmother, she chose love. The Webster Ranch continued to thrive under Samuel's care. And then his sons, and then his grandsons. Each generation remembered the story of how it all began, of a cowboy who heard a baby crying in a storm and stopped to help, of a woman who fought to save her child and found love in the process, of 2 people who built a legacy of love that endured. Because that was what Owen and Olivia had created, not just a ranch or a family line, but a legacy of love, of kindness, of the understanding that the smallest act of compassion can ripple out in ways we cannot imagine. Their great-great-grandchildren would tell the story to their children, and those children would tell theirs, and on, generation after generation. The story of Owen and Olivia Webster, whose love began in a snowstorm and lasted beyond death, living on in the family they created, in the land they loved, in the hearts of everyone who knew them. It was a love story for the ages. A testament to the power of kindness, the strength of commitment, and the enduring nature of true love. It was a story of the West, of hard work and harder times, of survival and triumph. But most of all, it was a story of 2 people who found each other against all odds and built something beautiful together. Owen had given Olivia and Samuel his bed that first night and slept by the fire to keep watch over them. It was an act of simple kindness, the sort of thing one human should do for another. But from that act grew love, and from that love grew a family, and from that family grew a legacy that would last generations. In the end, that is all anyone can hope for: to love and be loved. To make a difference in someone's life. To leave the world a little better than they found it. Owen and Olivia did all of that and more. Their story was complete. Their ending was not sad but celebratory. They had lived fully, loved deeply, and created something that would endure long after they were gone. They had built a home, raised children, weathered storms, and held tight to each other through it all. And somewhere, in whatever comes after this life, Owen and Olivia were together again, walking hand in hand, young and whole and free from pain, their love eternal and unchanging. Because love like theirs does not end. It transforms, endures, goes on. The Webster Ranch still stands today, more than 100 years later, still in the family, still bearing the name. And on that hill, 2 headstones still stand, marking the final resting place of 2 people whose love story began in a blizzard and ended only when their earthly journeys were complete. Visitors to the graves sometimes leave flowers, especially in December, around the anniversary of that night when everything began. The family gathers there on special occasions, telling the story once again to the newest generation, making sure they understand where they come from, what their name means, what love can accomplish. Because Owen Webster found a freezing woman with a baby in a snowstorm, gave them his bed, and slept by the fire. And from that simple act of kindness grew one of the greatest love stories the West had ever known. A love story that proved that home is not a place but a person, that family is not just blood but choice, and that the greatest legacy anyone can leave is love. Their story was complete. Their love was eternal. And the legacy they left behind continued to grow, generation after generation. A testament to 2 people who chose each other, chose love, and built something beautiful that would last forever. The end came not with sadness but with satisfaction, not with regret but with gratitude. Owen and Olivia Webster had lived, loved, and left behind something precious. Their story was told and retold, inspiring others to kindness, to love, to family. And in that way they lived on, forever young in memory, forever together in spirit, forever an example of what love can be when it is true, when it is chosen, when it is cherished. And so the story ends where it began, in the snow of a Wyoming winter, with a cowboy and a woman and a baby, and a simple choice to help that changed everything. From that moment grew a lifetime of love, a family spanning generations, and a legacy that would never be forgotten. It was a story of the Wild West, of hard times and harder choices, of survival against the odds. But more than that, it was a story of love. Pure, simple, enduring love. The kind of love that builds homes and raises children and creates something that lasts beyond one lifetime, beyond many lifetimes. Owen and Olivia Webster's love story was complete. Their ending was happy, and their legacy lived on in every Webster who came after them, in every person who heard their story and was inspired to be kinder, to love harder, to give more. They had lived well, loved well, and left the world better than they found it, and that in the end is all that really matters. That is the only legacy worth leaving. Love, family, kindness. Owen and Olivia understood that from the very beginning, from that first night in the snowstorm, and they never forgot it, not for all the years they had together. Their story was done. Their love was eternal. Their legacy lived on. And somewhere beyond this world, Owen and Olivia walked together still, hand in hand, heart to heart, forever and always. The end.